All right, here we are, everybody. Welcome to another episode. And man, today I'm excited, man. I'm excited to chop it up with the one and only Johnny Nitafan in the house. What's good, brother? How you doing, man?
Yo, yo.
Yeah,
Let's rock and roll, bro. It's the
yeah.
debut of the buzz cut. So
Oh man, I
it must
tell you
be a good one.
when I saw you buzz that off, man, because you had a big head of hair, bro. Which I will say I was super envious of, man. Because at my age, I've been losing it. You know what I mean? So whenever I see a
Yeah.
big head of hair, man, I'm always like, man, look at that guy. So. But we were just talking about it, how much more comfortable it is to be without so much hair, man. Johnny, man, pleasure to have you here, bro. Let's spend 20 minutes. Let's chop it up. Agency owner, coach. I mean, you've been through this industry, young guy, right? So let's get into it, man. Let's give some knowledge and let's spit some value out there for people. You ready to get it going?
Yes, sir. Let's run it up.
Let's go. Guys, welcome again. If you're an insurance agent or you're just out there browsing around and you're thinking about becoming an insurance agent, right? Making a switch into this, stay tuned. You got to watch this, guys. I have an incredible guest here, Johnny Nitafan. I've known you. We've known each other now for several years, man. So
3 years. Yeah.
yeah, man. Which is a long time in insurance, man. You know what I mean? And so we kind of been growing side by side, right? You've done your thing, you've been doing, you ventured off into some different things. And so, guys, if you're out there and you're thinking about it, or you're on the journey of being an insurance agent and you're looking for value, you're looking for how to build your business, how to become a better salesperson, business owner, all of it, this is going to be a really good episode, man. Let's get into it. Johnny, for those that don't know who you are, brother, give them a little intro, man. Let us know like how long you've been in the insurance business, and just give us a little intro of yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Johnny Nitafan. I started in the industry almost what is it, 2021. So yeah, almost 3.5 years ago, actually. Got my intro into the space, started as a Starbucks barista. And then from there, I was like, I popped the question to my girl at the time, and we ended up getting married. And then 1 month in, I was like, our bills were like, it's funny because I was looking over some of my notes, just like as far as our financials and like what our budget's going to be and things like that. And it's like, all right, I think we can get away with like spending like 2,200 a month. Right. And I was like, all right, cool. Like I can work full time and we can cover it and we could save some of her money, and we're both going to work and we're both going to pay bills and things like that. But I was like, I want to do something that I can provide way more than just 2,000 a month and provide that to this family. And so just kind of as I understood that, luckily my father-in-law married into a family that he was an insurance agent and an agency owner, and he sold his business in 2020, right when the pandemic hit. And so that was a nice lump sum of money for him. But I saw what insurance could do, but I was like, I'm not interested. I'm not passionate about that. But when I really was getting down to it, I was like, okay, I just want to make money, and I want to be able to get to the path where I can have the opportunity, not guaranteed, but have the opportunity to make 100,000 a year. Like, how can I do that? And I was like, okay, insurance is a really solid vehicle to be able to do it. And I started researching the industry a little bit more, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm going to just jump right into it. And so I got licensed very quickly and started in, and I just started door to door, and I'd sold kind of like what Aflac sells, like voluntary benefits. I just joined an agency that just had left, so they were independent, and we just kind of go, and I started as an appointment setter with them and did that for about 3 months. And then I was like, you know what, I really want to figure out how I could work from home and sell life insurance from home or from anywhere in the world, essentially. And the way that I sold my wife, because the first time I told her, I was like, hey, I have the opportunity, I could make 30 to 40,000 a month selling life insurance. And she's like, that sounds like a scam, an MLM, whatever. And I was like, no, it's possible. I literally just talked to like 3 people that have done it.
Yeah, I'm going. Let's do it.
Yeah, like, let's do it. And then she's like, like, it's too good to be true. And so I was like, all right, cool. So I just put my head down, researching, kept listening to videos, and that was January. Then March came, and I was like, okay, I know you've been wanting to move. We can move. I know you've been wanting to move to Florida. This like we just have to do it. Like the way that we're going to be able to do that, and we're going to be able to move and just pretty much travel wherever you want, is I need to do this. And I really think this is going to be the best thing for our family. And so then she's like, okay, is it legit? And I was like, 100% it is. And so at that point, I jumped into the industry. And I made pretty much every mistake that you could under the sun at that point. Get into the industry, buy a bunch of leads, didn't make a sale for 3 weeks, and I was very determined. And I think that's one thing that I've just stayed with, that's kept me continuing on in this industry. Is just determination, right? And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do whatever it takes. I bought some in-home leads that are age direct mail, set some appointments 3 hours away from here. Drove 3 hours away, sat in the home, my first home, closed that person, went to another home, closed that person, and that was the start to the business. Did 4,200 that day, and that was kind of like the jump start into it, right? And I was really blessed with the opportunity to get to on season 1 of Ultimate Agent, and I was 20 at the time, and so it was that was an amazing experience that I was able to have. As well, and just get to know Cody and a bunch of the mentors there. And then I had a really crazy year after that. Tried recruiting, didn't work, just because I wasn't ready for that. And it was just a lot coming at me. It was like so much exposure for like my character. It was a lot of exposure, and my character wasn't built to be able to actually handle that level of exposure. And so I squandered it, to be honest. And or to go back, I would do a lot of things differently, but I got shiny object syndrome a lot. And I think that's one of the things that took me out early on. And so it's like, I would jump here, jump there. And I joined 5 IMOs my first year in the business. And so it's like, dude, and then after that, once I kind of started solidifying with one, you and I kind of met at that point, which was like,
that's right.
And so it's been solid, dude. Like I've done a bunch of different things. I thought I started in mortgage protection. Then I was like, you know what? After the first year, I decided, hey, final expenses the way. Did really well. Started posting YouTube content. A lot of people started reaching out like, hey, how can I learn what you're doing? Started a coaching program, ran that for the past year. And I was like, you know what? The number one thing that most agents struggle with is, well, 2 things really. Number one is just financial stability. And to invest into leads is a lot, but I think that correlates with the second thing is actually being a business owner, because there's so many learning curves that you have to go through when you get into the industry, and you're trying to learn sales, you're trying to learn the industry and how to underwrite in products, and you have to be a business owner at the same time. So wearing all these different hats leads to a lot of people broke. I mean, that's why 92% of insurance agents fail their first year, because it's a lot to handle, and each one has different character traits and skill sets that you have to learn. And so I was like, why don't I just take all that off people's plates and just teach people how to sell and be a really solid insurance agent? And so that's why we started our free lead program. And so that's what I've been doing for the past 5 months. And we've got the agency now to we did 295 last month in written business. And so really the goal is to just get that up and just have our average agent doing 10 to 15,000 a month in net income, and really just being able to live autonomously and do whatever they want. So that's kind of like the backstory on how I got here talking to you.
You know, what's crazy, man, is so much to unpack there, right? Like a few things, right? For me, and I've always said this to you, just because, you know, I'm double your age, you know, you're in your 20s. And obviously when we met, like you said, you were 20, 21 years old. And man, I'm always so impressed, because at 21, I was making money doing sales, but I certainly had no mind for anything. You know, I was partying, I was doing all the wrong things at exactly the right time, you know, and I made a lot of money, and I pissed away a ton of money, and learned a ton of lessons, you know. And I think that when you and I met, I saw, and I've said this to you, you know, like, man, I see myself in you in a lot of ways, man. Like, you're out there exploring, trying to figure out, right? You're a hustler. You're meant to do what you're doing. And I think the road to doing that and getting to where you are now, it's a process, right? It's a process of trial and error. And I think it's important for people to know and see within all of that that you started door knocking, then tried telesales, 5 IMOs in the first year, but through all of it, you never stayed down. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like no matter what route you kind of took and what that outcome was, you kept on going, right? You kept on
Yeah.
doubling down on yourself and you kept on pushing. And you talked about being a barista at Starbucks and living on a
Yeah.
couple $1,000 a month. And now here you are 3 years later, right? Talking about having a business that's doing $200,000-300,000 a month in premium, right? And so that
Yeah.
speaks to one, that business is never a straight road, right?
No.
And
Yeah.
two, that man, no matter what, you just got to keep moving forward. You got to keep pushing because you never know what you're going to find and where you're going to end up, man. And it's been awesome to see the journey for you, because I remember when you first started, you were like, man, all right, I think I'm going to start building a team and I think I'm going to start recruiting. And you were in that shift of IMOs, you were moving from one place to another and seeing that entire process, man, the evolution is incredible. And it's crazy because it feels like, I don't know for you, does it feel like a long time, even though it's really not? It's only a few years that you've really been doing this, right? Like, does it
Yeah.
feel like it's been a long time for you?
It really has, dude. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of it has to deal with just being so young in the industry, which is a blessing and a curse, right? And I think the mindset that I had though is like Cormozzi talks a lot about it, and I remember Cody listening to some of his videos when I was just starting, and he's like, if you never quit, you can never fail. And so I was like, I'm gonna just make the commitment that I'm never going to quit, and I'm just going to keep moving forward, and I'm going to own up to the mistakes that I've made because I've made the mistakes, and I've jumped when I shouldn't have jumped, and recruited when I shouldn't, and I've just done stuff. And so I think with that, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to learn every single time, and I'm just going to move forward. Okay, I shouldn't have left this IMO. Like if I would have gone all the way back, I would have stayed at my second IMO. And
Interesting. Right.
I would have done that. But you just don't, hindsight's always 2020.
You
And
got
all
it.
you can do is just focus on today and take control of what you're doing right now in this very
Yeah.
moment. So I think like that's one of the things that if you just stay in the industry like 3 years, if you're in the industry for 3 years, you're like an OG at this point. And then it's funny because everybody after 3 years, you kind of get to know the players in the game.
Right.
And you kind of like have seen them at an event, or you've done content with them, or you've partnered up one way or another with them, and then it kind of gets a little bit easier. At least I feel like with the experience, because there's only so much to learn. Like I'm always learning new stuff, but it's more market changes and things. But there's only so much that I can learn about underwriting. There's only so much that I can learn about products. There's
For sure.
carriers and people come onto the market, but it's like, okay, I've gone through that industry learning curve. I see the pitfalls. I've seen why most agents fail. And so I'm like, okay, if I can just learn to get past that, there's not really a better opportunity out there because everything has really bad things that are going to take people out. That's just the reality of it. So you just got to pick what lane you want to go down. And for me, it was final expense life insurance. And I'm like, you know what? It's a growing market, 10,000 seniors turning that every day. And it's a scalable thing to where I can teach somebody, like we've had multiple people already their first week do eight to $10,000 in a week in approved business because it's just such a simple model. I
Yeah.
have to teach them, hey, when somebody passes, they get this amount of coverage. It'll cover a burial or cremation. Figure out which one they want to do, which they want to cover, and that's it. Because they know death is inevitable. Their friends have died, their families died, and they understand that it's closer than they think. So they have to get a policy essentially. Or who's it going to be left with? It's going to be left on their son. Their daughter would have to come with it. I was talking to a client yesterday, and I was like, why is this important to you to get some coverage? He's like, I just had to take a loan out to be able to cover my dad's funeral.
Mm.
And so I think it's important to also have just those types of things make the sales process a little bit easier because they kind of have to have it. And if not, they're just not being the provider that they should, right? The dad that they should, the mom that they should. and so on and so forth.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's really it's something that I look, and obviously from talking to agents and clients, and now me being in the industry for 3 4 years, like, you get to this point, I think, in any industry, that you learn how to make money, right? You learn what it takes to make money in that industry, no matter what it is. And that's essentially
Yeah.
what business is about, right? Can I take
Yep.
$1 and turn it into two, turn it into three, turn it into a million? And I think if and of course within that comes all the challenges and everything, all the hurdles that you have to do. But I've always been one that, man, I think if I look back, and I've made, and we've talked about this, right? A million mistakes, man. A million of them, dude. And
Yeah.
and in those million mistakes, I've had 4 or 5 shining moments, right, that have propelled me to a completely different place that I had never been to. And the lessons that I learned really came from the failures, right? Like, success happened, I made money, great. But if I hadn't gone through those failures, like if you hadn't gone through 5 IMOs, if you hadn't done the things that you did to figure out that, oh, that's not it, right? I got to back up and go this way, then you wouldn't be where you are today. And so I think it's really important for people coming into the business to always focus on the idea that, man, like, it's you have to use fear, right? Because I think fear is part of risk and getting involved in something new. But I think you can't be in a position where fear paralyzes you, right? You have to be able to take on that risk. You have to be able to bet on yourself, and you got to be able to keep pushing, man. I think it's a really important message, especially for people that come into this industry and come from like a 9 to 5, right? They've never ran a business. They've never done any of those things. And so they're expecting to come into something where it's like, okay, do this, this, and this, and that's going to equal success. But that's not how it is, right? Like, you can buy leads and you can get your IMO and you can get your contracts and you can still fail out of the business, And so that's a really important point, man. Tell us a little bit, because I always love hearing about this, especially from, again, younger people moving in and building something. You mentioned, like, it's a gift and a curse. Like, you going through, like, right now, for example, and we were talking a little bit about this offline, the idea of you going from writing insurance, right, which is easy to you, right, because now you've been in the business for a long time. It's like, man, I know how to do this. I know how to make money. Now transitioning and taking your time and what you're good at, right, selling and teaching somebody else. What's that challenge been like for you, specifically with like older people, right? How do older people perceive you when they come on and they're like, all right, I'm going to join your team, Johnny, but I'm 55 years old. And here's a 21-year-old that's telling them how to do their job and how to run. How do you face those challenges, and how do you find it to be those relationships, right? Like, are they easier, tougher? Tell us a little
I
bit
would
about that.
say like the relationship side is way easier for me. And I think that's the blessing that I learned from coaching is I had such a we brought on about 150 to 200 different high ticket clients in that time, which was solid, but I had to be able to speak to so many different people in like so many different life stages, so many different, like, all over the place. And
Yeah.
so I think it was really good for me to learn and understand how to be able to speak to a mom that just put $5,000, $10,000 on a credit card that she just pulled out.
Yeah.
And how do I continue to stay in the pocket with her to just stay in the game, just keep
Yeah.
going. Not just that, but also like how do you overcome the paralyzing fear of that? Hey, I don't know if I'm going to make money. It's like, but do you want this higher level of yourself?
Right.
Do you want to become that 2.0 version that you want to become? Because if so, there's actions that need to be taken that all successful people have to face. But if you live in this level of fear forever, you're just going to stay the same.
Yeah.
Okay? So do you want to choose to become that 2.0 version? And so
being able to talk to that single mom, but also being able to talk to that 70-year-old guy that's trying to get back into the business that he's comfortable. He's already retired. Or how do I talk to the 18-year-old that's never had credit and he puts the last $2,000 that he has to be able to get the information and knowledge to be able to go into thriving in the business? Or how do I talk to you name it, right? There's so many different situations. So I think I gained that skill, but I think it's more important, like with my identity, it's such a quick win and it's a quick release, and it's transactional in a way. I do this and I'm going to get XYZ result, but it's been very challenging. And I've struggled with this for probably, ever since I got into the business, and it's never been, I've always gotten to the spot where I'm like, okay, there's a hump and a hurdle. And like, I say I've run like 3 different businesses. When I had my first agency, the coaching business, and now this, I've always kind of capped at this level. And obviously like it's been like, I started here, it was like the ceiling was high, but then I got to the next level. Okay, great. I got here, but it's always been that sales manager role that's kept me just stuck, that I've never able to really push back past that glass ceiling. And I've really had to do the deep work internally. Like, okay, why is this such a problem for me? Like, I've never really been able to have true freedom that money is made in my sleep, because I've never really truly developed people the best that I could. And really, like, what's cool is a little bit of this started changing. I saw a little bit of change, and obviously, like, you don't realize it in the moment, but I was in Europe for 10 days just like earlier this month, and I looked over our week-over-week production, and our production was actually right on par for what we were doing previously in the past few months, the weeks before. And I was like, that's really cool. I literally did not hop on a Zoom call. I didn't reach out and help anybody with their application or helping them like sell policies. And the business still made money, and we didn't go bankrupt. I didn't go broke. And so that was a cool breakthrough moment for me. But I think for us to get from 300 to 600 to $1 million a month, I think it internally, I have to change my identity from that quick win. And I have to be willing to not get the instant gratification of people saying, because people know I can sell insurance.
Sure.
But do I have the undeniable proof that I can teach somebody else how to sell it as well? Right. And get up to where I am. And so what's cool is like we've had 30 to 40K a month producers come in and actually do it, 50K a month producers. But how do I have a suite of 10, 20, 30, 50K a month producers? Right. That requires a new me. If I want new things in life, I need to change. I can't stay the same. It's just like how I was speaking to that mom to be able to put money on the credit card to finance her business. I have to have that same pep talk with myself. If I want to change, I have to change. I have to be the change I want to see. Yeah. So it just takes instead of going the instant gratification of, okay, I made a sale, got a client. Now I need to really step back and say, okay, it's delayed gratification, and it's bigger problems that require a lot more focused work and a lot more accountability that I can't directly control, because it has to be other people making the sales. Like, I can't be in there. Like, I have to be able to duplicate all the information, all the knowledge, how to overcome every objection, how I literally think about the world. How do I put that into somebody else? And it's not quick. That's what I've learned. And I think that's why I've shied away from it a lot, is I just want to, okay, I need to do XYZ, and I can do that in the next 30 days, 60 days. But it's like, this is going to require a new level. But my prediction, and I could be wrong, obviously you've been able to do this, but I think after doing it for 30, 60, 90 days, it'll get a little bit easier. Just like anything, just like selling insurance as well. It was really hard, but it got easier.
Yeah, I think you find it's interesting, right? It's like the challenge now is not, can I pay my bills? You know what I mean? Right? Like that's past. We're not thinking about that. The challenge now is like, how to make money, but like you said, can I teach others to make money? And of course you find yourself, I think, and you mentioned that, right? Like, one is acknowledging, right? And having a good understanding of like, man, what am I capable of doing? What are my challenges, right? Where are my faults? Because if we don't really acknowledge those things, then it's really tough to change or work on them. But I think as you acknowledge them, and really, if I break that down and you like look at it, it's like, okay, you go back, you've gone back to selling before, and you find that ceiling because there's that fear, right? Of like, man, can I do this? Can I not? I know I can go do 50,000 a month on my own pen, but can I really teach someone else? And you kept pushing, but just like you've done right throughout the entire time. And here you are. And before we started recording, I said that it was like, man, it becomes from you doing it to pouring yourself into others and having that confidence. And I think as you push through that and you start having breakthrough moments like being in Europe, and it's like, oh shit, well, I didn't do anything for this past week as far as sales. People did this on their own. That gives you the boost and the confidence to now keep pushing and leaning into what eventually will be the breakthrough in your business, right? To go from 2 to 5 to 1 million. It's like, yeah, you got to lean heavily. And I think those are the challenges in business as you grow and you scale, right? Like the problems are different, and the level of risk and the level of fear become larger. And so managing those feelings, I think, become a big part, right? Because, like you start and it's like, all right, I got to buy leads, I got to sell the deal, and I got to make $5,000 a month or $10,000 a month. That's one level, right? But now as you get to the second part of like, okay, now I'm running a several $100,000 a month operation, and man, where do I go from here, right? I have other people now counting on me, other people that are feeding their families because of you. And so it's just a completely different level of pressure and stuff, man. It's really cool to hear. And look, I think that for those that are out there that are doing it now, right, that are like at this stage where they're just starting or even thinking about it, or even at that place where they're starting to build a little team, but they're still writing, I think that's an important thing for you to keep in mind out there. And that's, man, I don't want to fall back, right? And so sometimes you just got to do it because it's the only way you're going to get through it is by doing these things, making those mistakes. But the sooner that you can identify that, if, for example, if you're writing business and you keep finding yourself going back to it versus pushing into the growth of training and developing others within your business to do these things, I think that's an identifier, right? That if you see that in yourself, man, address it and challenge yourself right now, right? To start pushing further away from writing, right? Because there's risk involved in that, but into leaning into training and developing other people. Because I think that's how you make real money in life, man. It's not
you have to
you doing it, right? That's gonna tap you out, man. You got to be able to expand and to build, and so that's another level of risk. Johnny, tell us, man. Like now, why did you choose? Because you're running a free lead structure versus like a broker model. And for those of you that don't know what that is basically your agency supplies the agents that come into your program with leads, right? They don't pay for the leads. They don't have that upfront cost, and you help them develop, versus a broker model where that agent has to pay their own way and has to build their business. What made you choose the free lead structure versus that broker model?
That's a really good question. Well, number one, it's like it kind of goes back to like, why did I even sell a coaching program? And the reason why is because I had specified knowledge and information, but it was really high level that most people, it just didn't make sense for them to actually continue on, because it's like I'm giving them information that you should have at like level 5, and I'm talking to level 2 and 3, 1, 2, and 3 people all day. And that it just didn't make sense, because I'm like, hey, you're trying to make your bills and pay your bills, and I'm teaching you marketing when you really need sales. Like if you just could get better at sales, your life would change.
Yeah.
And so when I really started understanding that, and everybody was like, it's the leads, it's the leads, it's the leads, which granted, to a certain extent, yes.
Yeah.
Dude,
but it's not.
You can't even close a door, dude. What's going on,
It
right?
doesn't matter how good the leads are, man. If you're not good at it,
exactly. And so that's when I was like, as I really thought about it, and I really saw the people who did get results and the people who didn't.
Right.
The people who got results, they were sales dogs. I was like, they think this is a magic fix. And obviously that's like a marketing thing on my side that, they think that this is going to solve their problem, which to a certain extent it can, but really it's kind of like in an asterisk. For this to work, you got to be good at sales. Why don't I just, so then I was like, okay, I'm fixed with 2 paths. Do I go down and just make a sales training program, or do I just have them learn sales? I teach them as much as I can, and I just take as much as completely de-risk them, and I just feed them all day with the marketing stuff I was trying to teach in the first place. So long story short, that's why I decided to do it, because in the broker side, it sounds nice in theory, but as an owner, it's like you're co-signing a lot of the risk, which somebody could just write $50,000 in business and boom, drop out, and then you're left with that. So I was like, okay, I don't love that. But it's like, if I know how to sell and I know how to market, might as well take all the risk internally and just teach people how to sell and give them the opportunity to do that. Because to succeed as a broker, you have to be the marketer, you have to be the sales guy, you have to be just a business, like what actually makes sense for us. And then also long-term, how do we scale this thing? Like you have to be the operator too. So there's like 4 different things. Plus, if you want to build a team, then you got to be a recruiter and you got to be the face. You have to deal with problems, like all these different things you have to do. And I was like, dude, this literally doesn't make sense, because most people can't do that. When you look around, the reason why there's successful businesses is because there was an entrepreneur that's willing to sacrifice to an insane level. So with all that to say, that's why I decided to do it, because instead of having to teach somebody 10 different things so that I can make more money and they can make money, I'm just going to teach somebody one thing and get how to get really good at sales, and they could make 6 figures a year from home without the risk. And that's just it. Instead of having to burn through their own money, because when people's money on the line, desperate people make desperate decisions. So it's like, okay, I got to pay and feed my family. And now my money's on. So now you're asking me to spend $1,000 a week on ads, which that's on the lower end. If you're a top producer, you should be spending a week. 1,500 really is solid. But you put that in, and they're not making sales, and now you're trying to go through the learning curve, and now you're down $2,000, now you're down $3,000, now you're down $4,000. Man, that gets scary pretty quick. So that's why I decided to do it. But I think if I was a producer that was just coming in to be successful in the broker side, I would find a guy like like an Oscar or me or whatever, and I would find them and have them run my marketing, completely outsource that for the time being, and just focus on sales, because that's where you're making money.
That's it, man. Yeah. It's also really interesting to me, right? Because if you're providing a free lead structure or what you're doing now, then you're also completely invested in yourself, right? Because you're funding that operation for that agent. So not only are you putting all that investment on yourself, that you're going to be able to teach this person to become a producer, which aligns really well. And then that person who's coming into that structure is going to get you completely, right? Because you're completely invested in that person's success. Where, of course, in a broker structure, it's a little bit different, right? And I think that's where you find, and of course, completely different models financially. But I think that's an important thing, like out there, if you're thinking about an agency, joining an agency, then one of the things is your ability to take an opportunity and turn it into money is hands down the most important thing that you can focus on, right? Because you can have the greatest lead in the world. Like we said, if you can't close a door, then it doesn't matter the lead that you have. And I see this every day, and we've been pushing now a lot more in our program and what we do, in how quickly right? Like leads, generating leads. We know that, right? That I know like the back of my hand, right? What people don't really understand when they come into this business is fundamentally what are the metrics that I need to understand about myself and my business as soon as possible for me to become profitable in it, right? And we've been leaning heavily on that now with clients where it's like, okay, like we need to figure out three things. Number one, what's your ability to turn an opportunity into money, right? What's your closing rate? And if you don't have one, we need to quickly get one because that's going to set the tone for then number two, how much capital do you actually need to reach whatever your goal is in a month, right? What is your production goal for 30 days? What's the capital that you need to reach that production based on your ability to turn an opportunity into money? And those three things are so fundamental, man. And most people come into this business and it's like they ask you, well, how much money should I spend on ads, right? Or how many leads should I buy? Well, you're thinking of it completely backwards, right? Like I'm not the one that should answer that for you, right? We should fundamentally understand your ability to take an opportunity and turn it into money. And then we would understand exactly how many leads you're going to need and how many opportunities you're going to need to talk to and how many sits you're going to need. And so this becomes a numbers game. And most people don't see that. And obviously they're sold a whole different and all that. So with a free lead structure, that gets removed, right? Because again, you're the one making the investment into that agent. You're the one that has to make sure that that agent is doing all the things and getting their ability to turn the opportunities that you give them into money, man. So, you know, I think that there's a real value for agents joining a structure like yours because, you know, this is a common thing. It's like 100% of nothing is nothing, right? So if you can join an organization that provides you complete training systems and can make you a better salesperson, man, that's worth what you're going to pay, right? That's worth what you're going to put in for that. And so I think it's incredible what you're doing out there in the business, man. I always love following you, man. And I think you're doing big things, man. I think you're moving into some bigger things over the next year or two, man. So it's always great to see you. Give us people, if they want to join your agency, right? If they're like, man, you know what? I want to talk to Johnny. This guy's a superstar, man. How do they get a hold of you? How do they find you? And what are your requirements for somebody to join your agency?
Yeah, good question. I think the reason why I'm the owner, obviously, but I think the reason why I think this opportunity is a very good opportunity is because it's a complete win-win. It is a complete win-win because the only way I make money is if you make money. And you have to make money. And the only, like, if you get a chargeback, I'm getting a chargeback too. And I'm just as liable on that as well. And so I am putting my ad spends, which we're right now $2,500 to $3,000 a day in ad spends. Plus we're paying for a dialer. Plus we're paying for, like, I'm training you. Plus, like all these different things. I'm taking all my time, energy, and resources. I'm putting everything on the line to help you succeed. And you just make money. Like, you come into the system that I've built out that people have paid for. You get to come in, plug in, and get personal development from us. And then if you're like, you start making money and then you're like, hey, I want to graduate into being a broker. Cool. We just move you over. It's a conversation. And we just move you over to our broker side and our broker division. And it's a very simple conversation. So I think a lot of times it's like, oh, we only have a free lead program. But the biggest thing people think about is like, how do I get to the next level? If I wanted to be a broker and I dial in the systems, you literally just start paying for the systems and you just get a higher comp. And it's a very seamless transition. And so I think if you guys want to reach out, follow me. I have a YouTube channel. Just look up my name, Johnny Nitafan. Look me up on Instagram, Johnny Nitafan. You'll find me there. Shoot me a DM, drop a comment on the YouTube, or just apply. There's a link in my description. So if there's any questions you guys have, anything I can help with, whether you want to join the agency or not, feel free to reach out. My DMs are always open. But Oscar, it's always good. It's always big when we're doing stuff together, bro.
Come on, man. You know, we've always talked about it, man. We've always aligned in a lot of ways, brother. I respect you. I respect your hustle and your grind, man. And It's good to see people that are have values and have good principles make it and do the things that you're doing, man. Down below, guys, you're going to see the link to go apply, contact him. And I, man, completely back you up. If you're out there, guys, and you're looking for a free lead system or even a broker system, reach out if you're a superstar, because, man, you're making some hitters. I see you guys posting, man. I see the production that you guys are doing, and it's fantastic, brother. So I appreciate you coming on the show today. I got a damn kennel of dogs over here, bro, and they're starting to go wild. So I appreciate you a lot, man. Thank you for being on. And guys, if you found value today, give it a share, give it a like, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you on the next one. Appreciate you, Johnny.
Gotcha, brother. Talk soon.